In 2014, pilots had flown over the Yamal Peninsula and reported a huge hole in the ground that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Since then, researchers have identified more of these craters across two regions, the Yamal and Gyda peninsulas. They are part of the Siberian tundra, a massive stretch of land in Russia. And the scientists have found that the holes, which are roughly 65 feet across when first formed, don't show up quietly, they blast into existence. Like a slow-motion lava, land in Siberia bubbles up until it breaks, leaving behind a depression called the gas emission crater. Exactly why these massive holes form is still a mystery, though many scientists suspect that climate change is playing a role. Researchers have been identifying a hole in the tundra and figuring out what led to its formation. The first clues they had to work with were the chunks of earth scattered around the initial pit spotted in 2014. Since then, researchers have studied the landscape surrounding each hole, examined the blasted bits to see what kind of material they unearthed. So far, researchers have gathered that the explosions come from gas, likely methane, building up in isolated pockets across the tundra. The pressure accumulates fast. The hills that precede each explosion swell in about 3 to 5 years, and when the strain is finally too much, the bubble explodes. Over time, the edge of hole melts and expands the perimeter as the bottom fills with water, turning the gaping pit into inconspicuous lake. But researchers still aren't sure where the gas comes from in the first place. Some suspect the methane comes from the salty liquid. Other researchers hypothesize that climate change is thawing the region's frozen soil and generating methane. When dead plants and animals trapped in its chill unfreeze, microbes break down the material and release methane as they go. It's possible methane is coming from the ice within the soil too, as the gas can get trapped in the frozen water. The research team built an algorithm that could detect existing gas emission craters. There are 17 reported gas emission craters in the landscape, but only 7 recorded in scientific papers, which means the team had a tiny data set to work with. Ultimately, the algorithm correctly identified all 7, as well as what might be 2 previously undocumented emission craters. Pulling together an accurate assessment of how much Siberian tundra has changed already and what might change in the future helps researchers get a hand on how to prevent future collapses or explosions.